Aloha everyone, and welcome to another Tinker's Academy video. I'm your host Kay Elmer, and this video is going to be a forensic analysis of the new calm and rest frequency offered by LeelaQ Quantum Tech. So if you know anything about this frequency, it just recently was released for sale on Quantum Upgrade as well as on a card at LeelaQ Quantum Tech, and it is the result of a contest that was held back in September of 2024 where LeelaQ Quantum Tech just put out a contest that said, "Hey, we want we want a better calm and rest frequency. What do you guys got?" And over 70 people had submitted entries. They put together their frequency sets and submitted them for evaluation. Took a few months, and then the eventual winners were announced. I believe like 3 months ago or something like that. So basically, this is the new calm and rest frequency. Again, it's January 3rd today. So it just went on sale yesterday. And the frequency, what's in the frequency is what this video is all about. On top of the idea that not only is this video describing what's in it, but also the process by which we collectively as a group of individuals interested in this kind of stuff are using these contests as a way to, let's say, fine-tune our art, or improve our ability to create frequency sets. Because one of the things that I pointed out from the first contest, which was a pain management frequency contest, was it's the first time that we'd ever had an opportunity to have a bunch of people, submit ideas and have one that became the winner. So then you could compare what worked and then what didn't work. And that's the first time that we can start really understanding what works, so that as you guys go and make your own frequency sets, this information is it's just invaluable, because there's nothing out on the planet that will tell us this information. There's no other way to learn what works and what doesn't work, right? Because all you ever see, for sale on everybody's websites, there's multiple different sites that sell frequency sets, and and they're called different things. Like the biocharger people, they'll call their frequency sets, I think they call them recipes, and so forth. Anyway, so I digress. But the idea here is, not only is what's in this frequency, but also, what are the components of the frequency and the approach to making one that delivers the best results, because you're going to want to know this for when you make your own frequencies for just home use. So these two contests have really moved our knowledge in just a huge leap in the last year, by being able to say, hey, people submit 70 to 80 different entries, and one of them wins. Well, what's different about that one that won the contest, that was the best one, versus the ones that didn't? And so now that's what the very first video in this series was for the pain management contest, and this one is for the calm and rest frequency contest. So I want to just say right off the bat, what happened was Philip said that he and the Leela Healer Network, they reviewed all of the frequencies, and these are people who can feel and see frequencies. They're very gifted, and so they went through all 70, and there was a tie for first place. And so the tie was between myself, where I had submitted a 14 frequency set, 14 frequencies in one set, that I was, submitting for calm and rest. And then a gentleman by the name of Ralph from the European group, he had submitted a frequency set that had 35 frequencies in it, and he tied for first place. So here we are, the two people that tied for first place. If either one of us did not, submit or did not participate, then the other person would have been the first place winner, according to Philip. So this was first place, except it tied. So what the Leela Healer Network discovered was that both of these individual frequency sets by both myself and Ralph won the contest. But when they combined the two, and they made basically a 49, frequency set. There's 49, right? 14 plus 35. It's not exactly 49, but 45 if you take out the duplicates. But they put together a frequency set of both mine and Ralph's, and that was even better than mine individually or Ralph's individually. So that's kind of how that came out. So what you've got now is a frequency for sale that's getting incredibly rave reviews on Quantum Upgrade. If you just read Quantum Upgrade, the posts since yesterday morning on January 2nd, and people are trying the the new brain frequency. They're trying the new calm and rest, and it's just getting rave reviews on how much better it is than the old frequency and how much it helps people sleep. The quality of their sleep. So it works, right? So that's really cool and I'm really proud that I actually got to participate at this level and being one of the ones that tied for first place. So totally cool. A little bit of bragging rights there. So I'm pretty happy with that. So what's in that frequency is a list here, and I'm gonna make this a PDF and then put it out there so you guys can just go look at the video description if you want to get a PDF of this. This is this list, but basically it's a combination of the two, right? So it's mine and Ralph's. And so the ones that are in red are duplicates. So I just wanted to point out that there's 3 duplicates. So it's 45 minus 3. So it's a 42 frequency set because there are 3 duplicates, right? And so that's what the red ones are. And then the rest of it is just, what's in the frequency. So I kind of want to explain my approach. And then, of course, let me walk through Ralph's. But my approach was where I had taken inspiration. And this is what's really, I think, is important because this is a learning experience. We learn every contest, we learn something more, right? We just keep building our knowledge base. And so when I looked at the winning entry for the pain management and I did the analysis on what won and what didn't win, which was what I had submitted. I did not win that one, but somebody else did. And I'm like, compared the two, I came up with this set where I called it the summary of findings and, what was going to be the new approach because I realized I approached it wrong in terms of trying to put together the set. So this time I applied everything that I learned from the first analysis onto this one and bang, I won. So I'm pretty happy with how that process worked out. But my approach was here where I actually went to following my own guidance, which was here. This is, let's see, right here. This was the summary of findings for the pain management frequency contest, okay? And so what I had discovered in that one, doing an analysis between what won that contest and what I submitted that didn't win, now I had something to kind of understand and study. I realized that, one of the things about approaching the contest was I needed to really approach the research with a feeling brain and not the thinking brain, because it was just, I really needed, so instead of getting really, really into it like I normally do some hardcore research, I just followed my intuition. Like, how do I feel about this? Like, oh, what about this? And how do I feel about that? And I kept asking myself, how do you feel? Should I do this? And it was just really bizarre to do that because I'm not normally that way. But I constantly was just trying to intuitively sense what should go in the frequency set. And so I totally relied on intuition and I never second guessed myself when I put together my set. The other thing too was keeping everything natural and organic. When I tried to do the pain management one, I had tons of drugs in there, pharmaceuticals. No, bad. That was bad. Synthetic, all that chemical, none of that stuff. Non-natural chemicals. Was any that had anything to do with ending up in the winning frequency set. So I kind of said, okay, let me avoid anything synthetic, completely stay with natural organic substances and natural organic stuff that's in nature, right? And then using traditional and alternative medicine, like looking at like, okay, well, how would the naturopath approach this objective? The objective for that frequency was pain. This frequency was the objective was helping the body rest, helping the body stay calm and sleep, quality of just resting. And so so my thinking was, all right, well, how would a naturopath approach this objective? How would a homeopath approach this objective? How would an Ayurvedic practitioner or a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, right? And so I really looked at all of these different natural, traditional healing. I call them the traditional healing arts because these healing arts that I just mentioned have been around for thousands of years, whereas the allopathy, which are the chemical surgery, those guys, right, the white coats, those guys have only been around about 150 years. So, when you take a look at who's got the most experience in healing people, it's definitely not people in lab coats. So I really looked at how would these guys approach that, and that was one of my things that I looked through in putting together the winning set. Then also too is diversifying effects, like trying to approach the objective from different angles, right? That was another thing. You can't just I learned from just looking at this and studying it. You can't just approach a frequency from one angle. So look at it from different angles, and then include foundational support. And that's the thing that was real interesting about the pain management frequency winner was she'd included salt and water. And I was like, wow, that's and when I thought about how incredibly intelligent that was to do that, because it's so supportive of our body, because we are saltwater aquariums. That's what we are. I mean, I think it's like 68 or 70% of our body is literally liquid. All the cellular, fluids, your lymphatic system, everything's liquid. We're very liquidy, and we're essentially a saltwater aquarium. So why not provide that? And that's what that person did, and they won. The pain won. So I did that in mine. Guess what? Hey, it won. So lesson to all of us. And then less may be best. Like I think in my pain management, I think I had like 60 something, and then the winning one was like only 14. So I really backed off and said, let me just less is best. And then this is the 6 bullet points that I had followed to put together my set. So this is my set. And this, like, again, if Ralph didn't submit his entry, I would have won by myself. And the same thing with Ralph. If I didn't, Ralph would have won. And I have a really funny story about my submission too. And I'm like, okay, you guys like stories. Side story, real quick. I had gotten a phone call a week before the Leela Healing Network were going to go and sit down and go through this stuff. I mean, literally the week before, they were going to go through all the entries. I got a phone call from a lady in Washington State, United States, and she's like, "Hi, I got your Leela submission, and I got your phone number from the paper inside the envelope." And I'm asking, so I'm talking to this lady. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, first of all, how'd you get my phone number? And so it turns out that somehow my entry to the contest got stuck underneath a package at the Leela factor, warehouse or something. And it got stuck there, and it got shipped out to a customer, and she ended up getting my envelope with my frequency entry. She opened the entry and popped up opened the paper. Of course, it's got my contact info and then the list of the stuff that's in there for the contest entry. And so she called me, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much for letting me know. So I let Philip know, and they're like, what? How did my entry end up in Washington? It's just a fluke, weird thing, where it was just like this universe, the universe doing this really strange thing. But the lady was so cool where she calls me, tells me she has my winning entry. She thinks the list is great. We chat for like an hour about Leela Quantum Tech, quantum stuff, and she's a healer, and we're swapping stories. Great conversation, beautiful person. And so I get a hold of Philip. I'm like, hey, I just found out my contest entry is in Washington. And he's like, oh, sorry about that. And so I sent him another one, and it got there the day before they started going through things. If that lady had not called me, and God bless you for calling me, I would have never even have known that my entry was not in the contest. And Philip, he says that he would have assumed that I would have entered and would have figured out that I'm missing, when they went through the list, right? But, it could have been overlooked. So it's just really strange. I mean, it's like the universe works in so strange, that somehow, no matter what, my entry still got put in the contest. So that I just think that's a just bizarre story. Anyway, so I'm sorry, I'm back. So this is what's in my entry, which is I decided to go with what helps people rest. And so when your brain is in a rest state, it's in a delta wave brain. You have delta waves, right? That's alpha waves for alertness, and beta waves for all these different brain waves. So the delta waves is what's going on in your head when you're sleeping. I have a set of tuning forks for brain waves. So I just used my tuning forks, and I captured the delta brain waves into water, and then used that as a source for the frequency that I added to this list. Of course, I went with some essential oils, that whole natural alternative medicine thing. Then also too, the pain management winter use a stone. So I went and looked for, I approached it from a Reiki standpoint where like, okay, what stones are associated with rest and sleep? And turns out there's a celestite crystal that has that emanates that vibration. So I used that natural thing from Mother Earth. Again, essential oils from Mother Earth. And then I went and looked at substances where it basically was like, like what are the quote, supplemental substances that are used throughout, these different practices, right? And so, of course, chamomile, magnolia bark, which are very, very popular. And then I found some other ones that I had not been familiar with, but they came up in my research when I was looking at how homeopaths approach calming and resting, remedies. And so it came out with these 4 different substances. I won't try to butcher how to pronounce them. Of course, then I looked at just regular old supplementation, like what are the top, I looked at like what are the supplements, top supplements, and you get this giant list, and I just kind of intuitively went through the list, and those 2 popped out at me as being the ones that I should add. Again, I did everything intuitively. I really put my thinking brain aside and just went with my intuition on this one. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I put in water and deep sea salt. Now, the water that I use is called mother water. It is created using an analima wand. If you go and look at research that, it's an incredible, tool and puts out this incredible natural earth frequency of the natural frequency of water. And it's called mother water once you use that wand. So I used the frequency of mother water as the water frequency. And then as my salt frequency, I use Kona deep sea salt. Now, if you're not familiar with that sea salt, there's all these different kinds of salts in the world. But off the coast of Big Island in the state of Hawaii, they have, they basically have a pipe that goes down thousands of feet right off the coast, and it goes straight into deep water. And so it goes below just all the surface water, and it goes really super deep where the water is pristine and pure. No microplastics, no pollution. It's down really deep, and it brings up all that deep sea water, and then they run it through their process and dry it out, and they produce a salt. And so it's literally the purest salt you can find. It's, it hasn't been, polluted or anything. So, and it's been tested. It's all certified, not, no heavy metal. So I wanted to use the purest salt I could find, which I use Kona salt. So that's kind of what I did. And that's my list. Okay. And so that was my submission, and, in first place. So then Ralph, first place, he did his too. And so it's real interesting. Ralph's approach was he went with essential oils. So he's got 3 different essential oils. We both landed on lavender, but he ended up adding blue tansy and turmeric, okay, in terms of essential oils in his mixture. And then you can see when he got into substances, there's tons and tons of substances. I mean, he's got a lot of substances. Real interesting list. I won't go through each one individually, but definitely he went in for the your typical supplements, and he used melatonin. I know melatonin is a sleep thing, but I just had an intuitively sense that you don't need it. I didn't want to use it. I just didn't feel good about using it, so I didn't add it to my list. Again, too, I wanted to keep my list short. Remember, less is best. But anyway, he's got some things here I don't recognize, and he's got some other things that I do. But he's got lots of different supplements and substances that he put in. He put in the entire magnesium scale of every single magnesium type out there. Now, I only use magnesium glycinate because that is the one known for helping people sleep. But he used them all, which was interesting. And he had, basically, oops, this is a duplicate. Just noticed that. So basically he's using all these different, substances. And then, of course, he gets into colloidal gold, which I thought was fascinating. Not silver, but colloidal gold and gold. So he's got 3 different golds in here. Again, he's got the curcumin. So he's got curcumin down here as a supplement, and also the essential oil of curcumin, which is cool. Turmeric, right? Ascorbic acid, vitamin C, B6, and he's got some vitamins in here. So that's what he put in his. And so his are purely, like while I have a brainwave in there, And he stuck with just supplements, which I think is real interesting, and his did really great. I mean, essential oils and all these supplements and substances seem to have done exceptional because he won first place as well. So that's what's in it. Now, for those of you, again, you can get a link to this. You want to take a look at the list. And then, of course, I've got this Clot analysis on the back end. So let me kind of talk about that again. So again, it's myself and Ralph put together is what is in the new calm and rest frequency. And so what I do with the last video, and I do this one with this one, one of the things about AI is it's exceptional. One of its exceptional abilities is to just basically dig through information and summarize it and make it simple for you. And so that's kind of what I did. So I fed this all into an AI called Claude. And I asked the AI, hey, if I kind of wanted to explain this to somebody, what are the categories? Categorize this list of 45 different things, categorize them, and tell me what the common properties are, so that we can kind of get an idea of what's, what are the recipe, if you're putting together a recipe for a great frequency set, what are the different things you need to think about all the ingredients that should go in there? So this is the extract of that. Now it's going to be right here. If you want to kind of take a look at, this is going to be in the same handout where you can look at what Claude basically said, where basically, hey, you've got essential oils and plant extracts, magnesium compounds, and then which one of those things fell into which one. Okay. So it kind of really makes it simple, but this is the little, the short version of that list, which is basically the categories of all of the things that went into this frequency set that won the contest. Was essentially, looking at essential oils and plant extracts, magnesium compounds, which are obviously going to be primarily because it's about sleep, but other ones, you could look at, if you're creating other frequency sets, you'd want to look at other different compounds that would, supplements versus substances, right? But then there were also neurotransmitters and neurological compounds, again, for, because we're talking about the brain here, but, the vitamins and essential nutrients, right? Water, all that, the B6, the B12 that Ralph put in his. He put in minerals as well. I put in minerals, I put in salt, bioactive compounds, natural substances and derivatives. We've covered that. Medicinal plants, again, I've covered that. That's what my stuff had in it, was the homeopathic medicinal plants. And then acids and chemical compounds, which is what was very, basically chemical compounds with specific molecular structures, which Ralph had put in as part of his natural, basically, if you look at his list, he's got lots of different chemical compounds. But, these are basically the fancy words for substances, or supplements. But that's kind of what's in here. So you want to say, hey, how do I put together a frequency set that's going to be incredibly effective? Then these are the categories of compounds and substances and things you want to try to keep in mind in your approach. And so again, my approach again was, these 6 things, and we covered that. But then when I asked Cloud AI, hey, give me a summary of findings, like take, this whole list. What is the main points that, the key points of the findings? And basically Claude came back looking at the entire list of 45 unique things and said, hey, many substances are naturally derived, hey, there you go, right? Several compounds focused on neurological, because this was a frequency for the brain, multiple forms of certain elements, especially magnesium for different applications, again. And then Claude also noted that there was a mix of traditional and modern therapeutic compounds. True, I went really traditional. Ralph kind of did both. And then various bioavailable forms of similar substances, right? So the different forms, meaning, it was like available as an essential oil versus available as a substance versus available as, a brainwave, right? But that was it. And so there you go. That's the new calm and rest frequency. That's what's in it. That's what kind of like categorizes, all the different things that are in it. And also more importantly, what do you need to think about when you are making your own? Because, it's so important because the better we get at this, can you imagine where we're going to be 10 years from now in our ability to heal and treat and help and support people, pets, plants, and places? When we get that good at creating frequency sets, that's just really where all this is going. And thank you to LeelaQ for giving us the tools to do that with. So for all of you guys that are into this, there you go. That's what's in it. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to learn more about me and you want all this information, about all the stuff I do. I'm over at the Tinkers Academy, blog. Also, too, I've got a health and healing group on Telegram if you want to join that. Links in the video description below if you like this kind of stuff. Want to keep on top of Leela news and all the crazy other stuff I do. Like and subscribe. Support the channel. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys. Aloha.